sick of hearing this ad? Or just hate waiting for a spot on our service? We'll wait no more. Become a
Connected. Hey, wake up.
sick of hearing this ad? Or just hate waiting for a spot on our service? We'll wait no more. Become a Banhammer VIP today for just $5 a month. Get access to loads of in-game and online benefits, such as server priority, monthly prize giveaways, custom player skins, fun in-game lasers, custom join messages to make you feel like a VIP, and more.
Visit banhammer.net for more information and purchase your VIP today. Terms and conditions apply. Please see website for full list of terms and conditions.
Are you sick of hearing this ad? Or just hate waiting for a spot on our service? We'll wait no more. Become a Banhammer VIP today for just $5 a month. Get access to loads of in-game and online benefits, such as server priority, monthly prize giveaways, custom player skins, fun in-game lasers, custom join messages to make you
Disconnected.
feel like a VIP, and more.
Visit banhammer.net for more information and purchase your VIP today. Terms and conditions apply. Please see website for full list of terms and conditions.
Are you sick of hearing this ad? Or just hate waiting for a spot on our service? We'll wait no more. Become a Banhammer VIP today for just $5 a month. Get access to loads of in-game and
Hello.
online benefits, such as server priority, monthly prize giveaways, custom player skins, fun in-game lasers, custom join messages to make you feel like a VIP, and more.
Visit banhammer.net for more information and purchase your VIP today. Terms and conditions apply. Please see website for full list of terms and conditions.
Are you sick of hearing this ad? Or just hate waiting for a spot on our service? We'll wait no more. Become a Banhammer VIP today for just $5 a month. Get access to loads of in-game and online benefits, such as server priority,
G'day guys, welcome to my first tutorial on source porn. For all of you guys that are in chat, I will be hopefully reading the chat throughout this tutorial. Please let me know if it is too small for you guys to see the window capture that I've got running. Again, this is my first time trying to stream, so bear with me on that. So what we're going to get started first with is I'm going to tell you what kind of resources you'll need to start coding plugins in CSGO. That is if you want to try and do that. A few things though before we get into what kind of stuff you'll need to start programming for CSGO. Obviously some knowledge of programming would be great. Obviously this tutorial will be based on the assumption that you have some knowledge of programming, but I will try and be as I'll try and simplify as much as I can and try and make it easy for you guys. But we won't be going to too much depth of how to create a plugin, but we more so will be just touching on the basics to get you going, and then hopefully maybe next week or later on in the week or something, whenever Money comes back from his holidays, we can organise another event to do another follow-up tutorial for those of you who are interested. And if there are enough people interested, obviously we can definitely do that. If you guys could just let me know in chat if it's all good, you can hear me okay. I'm not too sure if the sound quality is okay, obviously, because I'm on pretty average internet. Alrighty, just give us 1 sec, guys. I'm just going to post a quick announcement on the forums to let people know if they don't know that the stream has started. It's all good. Cool. Alright, just bear with me for 1 second. I'm sorry, I'm not using my cam. No, that's not happening. Boy, mate, if you can give us a hand and make sure that that announcement gets pushed out, that would be great. I don't even know how many people we have watching this, to be honest. Let me check. I got 16. Cool. So we'll start in a couple more minutes. I'll just make sure that we've got everyone who messaged me earlier today was keen, just to make sure. Just while we're waiting, does anyone want to type in chat if you have any programming experience, or if you've done any particular program, if you know any different languages, or if you do know a language, what is that language? Just for later on, if you have any questions, help knowing what you guys know. I can try and make the screen bigger. I'm not too sure if this will work, but I'll give it a shot. Hold on. Bear in mind, I literally tried playing around with this for the past hour. Never done this before, so I'm trying to figure out if this is correct or not. That high keeps resetting, which is annoying. Fuck, that's annoying. Oh, sorry. It's weird. Okay. Alrighty. Can you guys let me know if that is any better? I don't even know if it's changed, to be honest. Hang on. Settings. Oh, that's cool. You did some dark IP stuff. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Like I started out back on 1.6 with Colin. He used to play 1.6 as well, and that's how we knew each other. And I used to develop for a rival community. And I think Colin's had a little bit of experience in porn. And basically, yeah, I started there, and I had almost little to no knowledge of programming. But yeah, no, it's obviously you can start. You got to start somewhere, basically, and keep at it, and then you'll eventually get better at it. Just bear with me for 1 sec. I'm just going to try and increase the screen resolution that's actually showing on your screen, just to make sure that's easy for you guys to see, because we will be looking at some code a little bit later, and it might actually become difficult for you guys to see if it's really small. But I think that's as good as I can get it, to be honest. Okay. Oh, hold on. Oh, fuck yeah, I didn't know I could do that. Oh, there we go. Oh, awesome. Alright, is that better? I don't know if there's a delay in the stream or not, but hopefully that is, that should be a lot easier to see. Just type a okay in chat if it's all good, yeah? So I know. Okay, so there is a little bit of delay in what you guys are seeing and what I'm doing. So what we're going to do is, I'll first start off with the resources that Money mentioned in his post. So obviously, first off is you will need the latest version of SourceMod. Now, there obviously are there's two different types. So there's the development version. I'll just go into the download section. So obviously you can see on the sidebar there it has the stable builds and it has the dev builds. On all the Banhammer servers we run, I'm pretty sure no, sorry, that's not correct. Some of the Banhammer servers run the latest stable version. Servers like Climb, I'm pretty sure off the top of my head, and SkillSurf are running the development builds of SourceMod. The reason for that is because certain plugins only work with certain types of SourceMod. Obviously, as new CSGO updates get pushed out, we tend to find that updates need obviously occur from a plugin perspective, and as a result, we have to update SourceMod on a regular basis if there is any updates that cause SourceMod to break. So, if you ever want to make if you're ever going to make a plugin in SourceMod, you will need the latest version or the most stable version of SourceMod. One thing I do want to point out is that later on in the tutorial, I will mention that some code requires a particular type of compiler. Most code is cross-compatible in the sense that you can compile with either 1.7 or 1.8. Please let me know if any of this is confusing. I can answer any questions you might have in chat, or if I'm going too fast, because again, this is the first time I've done a tutorial, so I'm not too used to this kind of thing. So yeah, if you are following along, feel free to download the SourceMod the stable version of SourceMod from the website. That link is also in the event details that Money posts on the forums. Okay, so yeah, that's SourceMod. So if you've got that on you, that's great. You might be able to start running some plugins today. If not, you can download it in your own time. Now with actually writing code and modifying code, I personally use a program called Sublime. I'll actually just show that to you guys here. The link to download Sublime Text is actually on that page I was speaking about before, where Money posts the details of today's tutorial. So you can actually go in and just click on the link that he's posted there, and you'll be able to download the editor. Again, it's completely up to you guys what editor you want to use, whatever you're more comfortable with. I personally prefer Sublime, A, because I love the dark theme of it. Obviously you can have a light theme if you want. B, it has a really good easy compile feature. Sublime versus Notepad++. The two differences are, there's not a lot. I know that you can actually get extensions with Notepad++ which allow you to compile SourcePawn plugins, but I found that the one that Sublime had was better. I never actually managed to figure out how to fully integrate the compiler into the text editor, but I also preferred the fact that Sublime looked better too. So that was really just my personal preference. The two are great. They're great. Both of them are great text editors. But again, it just falls to personal preference. I don't know a lot about the features in both text editors, but from a web developer's point of view and from coding for Banhammer, I've always found that Sublime has been great for that, and there are heaps of extensions you can install to help you with your programming. Yeah, that's right. The background's really good, and if you don't like, and you can change the different colors and text and stuff to how you want it. For example, you could have functions as a red color, or like the main body text as white. Again, you can play around with that. That's something probably you guys could spend in your own time having a look and see how you can go about doing that. So yeah, that's where you go and download Sublime Text if you want to use that. For this tutorial today, I will be showing you some code that I've worked on recently for Banhammer, as well as I'll be doing that in Sublime. So that's pretty much how you what you'll need to get yourself started. So now, in terms of actually getting to the point where you can actually code plugins, I always recommend to any person who's starting out to use the Allied Mods wikis. Now, I'll quickly show you two links. Okay, so that's one. So Allied Mods is actually the public forum for basically everything plugin related. So some of the plugins that we run on Banhammer are actually publicly available on here to download. An example is SkillSurf. SkillSurf is a completely public mod. There obviously were some customizations and modifications that I did to the plugin that was aimed at making our server more unique. And also you'll find that there actually are different sections to this particular forum, and there's heaps of people on here, people that I even know are 10 times better than myself, who are able to help you with any coding problems you might have, or even if you ever want to release code, that's pretty much done on here. So this is basically a central point for anything source pawn or source mod related, basically. I'll quickly show you the approved plugins, the plugin section in source mod. So you can see it's a source mod category, and then you just jump down to the plugin section, and then in this particular section you can actually see the different threads, and each thread indicates a different plugin or mod. And so yeah, for example, like we were talking about before, SkillSurf, and if you just open that up, it actually gives you all the details about SkillSurf, the mod, the features, how to install it, and all that kind of stuff. And then it's also a link here where you can actually go and download the script and all that kind of stuff as well. I'll quickly show you a quick sneak peek of that. So just bear with me for 1 second. I'll just pop up my open up my Sublime Text. Let's see if I can find it here. What's it called? It's called CKSurf. Okay, so. Well, that didn't work. Hold on. Okay, sorry, just give me 1 sec, guys. Alrighty, sorry for that delay. Can you guys let me know if you're all following along, like if there's any questions so far, if it's all making sense. Yes, BH does use a TTT plugin. I can actually show you that if you like. It's actually in this sub forum. If you actually go into the plugin section here, I'll post the link here if you guys want to look at it on your own side. There you go. So you can actually pull that up on your computers and have a look. The TTT plugin should be here. I think it's on the first page. Or it might be on the second page, actually. Just on that note, though, the TTT server has obviously also been customized. JJ and Q4 are the two people that developed that particular server, and they've put a fair bit of effort into customizing the shop, customizing certain features of the different rounds as well. I don't know to what extent they actually did change it, but I know that they've done a fair bit to improve the mod itself. Yeah, so can you just let me know in chat if you guys are all good and you're following along? Alright, sorry about the delay, guys. Now, what I'll do is I'll actually pull up some code for you guys so you can have a look. It is Microsoft Edge. The only reason I'm using it is because my Chrome is actually has my personal information all over there, so I don't really want to show you guys all that. So just bear with me for 1 second. I'm just going to try and open up this, see if this works. Alright, can you guys see that okay? Just let me know in chat. So yeah, again, I'll post some of these links to you guys on the forums, in particular the Allied Mods forum. So again, that forum is there for you guys if you need to get help on getting your code started, writing your first code. If you ever reach like a problem, for example, if you ever reach like a problem in your code where say you have like a compile error, you'll always find that if you just Google the error that you get, we can't, it looks like, oh, okay, really? Alright, hold on. 1 second. Let me just see if that helps. Okay, hold on, let me just zoom in. Alright, you guys able to see that now? Sorry, I think there's a small delay in the actual stream, so it's hard for me to tell. Okay. Alright, awesome, that's good. Sorry for the hold up. Yeah, so as I was going to say, I'm going to try and show you some of the code. This is actually the CKSurf code that we use for SkillSurf. It's quite complex actually. It's a lot of code. That's just one file there of code. But what I might do is I'm probably not going to show you that. I might actually show you something else instead. So hold up 1 sec. Also, I wanted to mention that I actually save all my code on Dropbox. Again, it's a personal preference how you manage all your code. I'll probably try and save another tutorial if people are interested in code management and version management. Those two things are very important when it comes to programming, especially myself. I've had many cases where I might update something on Jailbreak and it breaks and I don't know what I've broken, and then I end up having the problem where I don't know what it was previously. And I actually have to end up rewriting code or trying to revert back to an earlier version of the code. So yeah, very important that if you are coding that you save regular versions of your code, just to prevent any major issues. Does anyone have any questions? I'm just going to pull up some code from Jailbreak because that this particular plugin that I'm going to show you is really straightforward. So it'll probably be easier for me to show you how it works. This particular plugin that I'm going to be showing you today is actually a private plugin. It's not publicly available. It's been custom coded by myself, and you'll be able to have a sneak peek of what that is. Difficulty wise, SourcePawn. C# and SourcePawn, I would say they're very similar. Sorry, I was actually going to show you the SourcePawn wiki, but I'll do that just after I quickly show you something. But yeah, in terms of difficulty, definitely SourcePawn is a lot easier than C#. Obviously, you got objective programming in C#, and I don't think SourcePawn really gets into that level of depth of, I guess, compatibility of C#, obviously. So I personally did C# in uni, and I found it to be a lot more difficult than SourcePawn. So I think if you've done C# or if you've done any other programming language, you'll be able to pick it up pretty easy. That's my guess. Obviously, it all depends on your abilities in that particular language and how much you know and how much you remember. So yeah, I'm going to quickly show you guys a little something. Just bear with me for 1 second. I'm just going to try and see if I can just change the screen resolution. Actually, no, it's all good. I'm just going to pop up a new screen, just so it's easier for you guys to see. Thanks for the thumbs up. Okay, give me a sec. I'm just pulling up a screen capture. Hopefully this will work. Okay. Let me know if you guys can see this clearly in chat if you guys can. And once you give me the okay, I'll go ahead and show you some stuff. Oh, cool. So it's all clear. Awesome. Alrighty, guys. So, again, this plugin is a private plugin for Banhammer. Just for the sake of this tutorial, I'm gonna give you guys a little sneak peek at what this is. So basically, this is just a quick glimpse of what the code looks like, and obviously, you guys would know this particular plugin as the messages that come up in chat when a guard kills a prisoner. I don't know if all of you guys here who are watching this particular stream are players of Jailbreak, but I'll explain to you how this plugin works. So as you can see at the top here, this is what we call our, we define all our includes up here. These particular includes are what we use to initially set up the plugin. Just give me one. Okay, oops, sorry. Yeah, where were we? Sorry, my internet's a bit shitty, so it keeps lagging out for me. Yeah, as I was saying, the includes up here is where you define. In order to create any SourcePawn plugin, you will need to define certain includes. For example, the SourcePawn include, the CStruct include are pretty much necessary. These includes are basically are essentially like the files that you'll need in order to compile any SourcePawn plugin. Again, it depends what you're trying to code. It's a little bit difficult for me to, I guess, explain this stuff because I don't know how much you guys know in terms of programming. Again, this is really a last minute thing that Money put together, so if you do have any questions or are confused about anything that I'm saying, just drop it in the chat and hopefully I'll explain it to you. So yeah, as I was saying, the includes there that you guys can see, which I'm highlighting now, these are basically additional files that are needed to compile the plugin. There are functions what we call functions inside those includes that run certain things. Now, what we have here is what we call a global variable. A global variable, to explain that to people who don't know much about programming, is essentially like, it's like saying we have, I'm trying to think of a good analogy that will make sense. It's like saying we have a piece of paper. Okay, so a variable is a piece of paper, and that piece of paper can have some sort of words on it. So in this case, we've got a global variable called weapon, and this particular text after it is basically it's a global array. Sorry, I should have said, and this defines how big the array is. So the number or the words inside this particular array are max players plus 1. And the max player is predefined as a certain number of players. So obviously the max a server can have plus 1. Again, there are certain reasons why we have these particular bounds, but again, it's a little bit complex to explain. I promise in the next tutorial, if we do one, I'll be a little bit more prepared and obviously have some more information to kind of give to you guys. The next particular one is another global variable. I'll quickly explain to you what the difference is between global variables and local variables. Global variables mean that whenever you put in a variable here at the top, it means that it can be accessed throughout all of the code. So for those of you who don't have any programming knowledge, I'd really suggest that you would spend some time maybe going through the Allied Mods wikis that I'll send to you guys, because again, I'm not the best when it comes to, I guess, teaching the programming side of things. I haven't done it before, but this is more so meant for people who have somewhat of a knowledge of programming. But yeah, I'll quickly explain the global and local variable differences. Global variables, again, it can be accessed throughout all the code. Local variables are variables that can only be accessed within a function. And when I say a function, that means, for example, there's a function here called onClientPutInServer, and that's when the client, so that's when a user joins the server. That's a function. Or a method, you could say, and then we have the global variable here, weapon, being used, that particular array, and we're assigning the value -1 to that particular person. I'll see if I can find an example of a local one. There isn't one used in here, but you know what, I'll give you a quick example. So for example, if I had a local variable called new, so to define a new variable, you have to have new and then the variable name. The particular syntax I'm using in this particular plugin is actually outdated. It's no longer used, but we actually, when these plugins were made, they were made using the old syntax, and there's now been an update in 7.1, which has meant that there's been a conversion of the syntax to a more C-like syntax, for those of you who know C. So yeah, to create a new variable, you've got to type, in this case, new, and then the variable name. There is certain practices that you have to follow when defining a new variable. I can't remember the exact practices off the top of my head, but frankly, from a Banhammer development perspective, they just have to make sense. Again, we're not too fussy about you've got to use capital letters and all that kind of stuff. As long as it makes sense what the variable name is, then you're sweet. Like for example, let's say we wanted to have a local variable for an integer, so a number. So let's say new number, and then you can say is equal to 0. So we've assigned the value 0 to this particular variable, and then let's say that we wanted to use this variable in the code later. So let's say if get, what is that function again? So let's just say if we're looking at the number, let's just say if we had a function that calculated the number of players on the server. In order to do that, there are different functions you have to use, but there's actually, you can get the number of T's and get the number of CTs and then add them together. So let's say we had a variable called player total, which returned the number of people that were on the server, and if that's greater than, say, the number that we've assigned previously, then it will execute the code below. So hopefully that kind of makes sense. That's basically what a local variable is. So that's a local variable. So I'll keep going down. So these are where you define your variables, and these are your includes. The top bit up here is all for formatting. So if you, it's basically, this is a must when you're putting in your code. Otherwise, you will get errors for some formatting errors. For example, what's an error that you might get if you don't have the correct? formatting stuff like I just completely lost what I was going to say. I can't remember off the top of my head. Don't know why, I just mind blanked then I had it, but when it comes to me I'll let you guys know. But I'll put some of these must-have. I'll make a little like document on the forums about what you need to have to basically start writing your code. Another one actually, well, now that it comes to mind, another program that you actually can use is called SP Edit. I feel like, especially the new programmers who are watching this, you might find it a bit easier to use SP Edit because it's actually got an inbuilt compiler as well. Actually, I might just pull that up. It might make it a bit easier after I finish doing this. I'll quickly show you that as well. So yeah, as we go down, you can see here that there's the public plugin info. So this is where you define all the information about your plugin. Just give me an OK in chat, yeah, if we've still got people watching, because I just need to. You guys haven't said anything the whole time. Yeah, so this is where you define all your public plugin information. So when you're actually on the server, you can type sm space plugins, and that'll actually show you the list of plugins that are currently running on the server. And this is where it displays information, like it'll have the plugin name, and that's obviously the name of the plugin, the author, myself, and then if you want to, you can put in a description about the plugin, and then obviously a version. As we go down, each plugin needs a plugin on plugin start. Again, sorry, I shouldn't say that it has to have one. It depends. There's certain things that you have to put inside on plugin start. Like for example, if you want to add a command. So for example, if you want to have a ban command or something, so you'd have to actually register your commands in this particular area here. Now what I've got in here is actually a thing to prevent people from stealing my plugins. So if someone was to just download the compiled plugin, they wouldn't be able to run it unless the IP address was the same as the jailbreak server IP. So that's just to prevent anyone from stealing the plugin. So that's that. Now, hooking events. Now, in this particular plugin, because we're looking at player death messages, we've hooked the event in the CSGO engine, player death, so when the person dies, and this is actually linked to the function the method event underscore player death, and as you can see here, it's got it down here, event underscore player death, so it links together. So you're basically wanting to catch that event happening, and then you want to process something in that event. No, they can't. So once it's compiled, they can't actually modify any of the code. So that's basically the reason why you do that. Yes, as Vin said. Sorry, Win. I think it's Win. Sorry, Win said. Sorry. That's correct. Yes. But again, you can decompile code. But the full decompiled version doesn't give you exactly what you're looking for. I might be able to show you what the decompiled result shows if we get the time. Okay, so I'll keep going through this. So as I said before, this is another what we call a method or a function. This is basically similar to a hook. It executes this particular method here that I'm highlighting now. It executes it when a person enters the server. There are different types of points. So for example, you can get on admin check, on client put in server, and on player connected or something like that. There's different ones. And in the Allied Mods wiki, it'll actually explain to you what the different points are and when people connect to servers and what they're used for and what you can use it for. Again, I don't think I'll be able to go into enough depth. Again, this is just more of like an introduction to what it all looks like. Once we know a little bit more about what you guys are looking for in SourceBomb, what you want to be taught, I can give you guys a bit more of a focused direction. So yeah, we'll look at that at a later date when you guys can tell me what you guys want. So this is actually what we call an event in the game. So what we want to do is we want to actually catch the weapon. We want to catch if a person had a weapon when they died, basically. So on jailbreak, for example, when a T dies, we want to make sure we want to know if they're armed or disarmed. If we want to know if they're armed or unarmed. So in that case, that shouldn't be there anymore because we don't do that. So what we want to do is we want to check if the person has a valid weapon. So if the weapon's valid and if the person has no health, because obviously they're dead, let's just store their weapon in a global array for their particular name. So the array is basically, just imagine you had a list of names for every person in the server at the time. Okay, and then what we're going to do is every person in the list has a value assigned to them. So at the start, they're all assigned a value of -1. Let's say I shoot Win right? And he had a Glock on him. So when it comes to the event weapon drop when he dies, because your weapons drop when you die, it will fire that and look and see, okay, yep, the weapon's valid. He has 0 health, and let's grab the weapon that he had and chuck it in the list, basically, to put it in simple terms. And then, because the event weapon drop happens before the event player death, I believe that's correct, this gets fired afterwards. So this event here, this method, is fired after weapon drop. So now you can pull certain information from these particular events. So as you can see here, I've assigned these local variables here to particular events. So the event player death, you're able to pull the person who died, the person who killed that person, and you can use that information to print messages, basically. What was I going to say? Yeah, sorry, I just lost track there. I was reading chat. So yeah, now after we've got that information, we want to start looking at printing some useful information to people on the server. So we're going to check, obviously, is the person a valid client? Like, we want to make sure that they're not connecting to the server. We want to make sure that they're actually in the game, like they're not a bot. We want to also make sure that it isn't Hunger Games, it isn't a H&S day, it isn't a zombie day. And then we also want to check that the victim actually wasn't the attacker. So in that case, they didn't kill themselves. We also want to check then, we want to print a particular message based on their team. So we're going to get the client's team. So that's the attacker being the person that killed them, because in this case we want to print messages about guards. So that's why we're printing it based on that. Again, you can print it based on victim, but just for the sake of this particular code, I wanted to do it based on attacker because we wanted to print particular messages based on who killed who. So in this case, we've got case number 2. So what this is called, it's called a switch case. So I should have mentioned this earlier. Again, sorry, this is really, I didn't really actually do much preparation before this. I was kind of like just going to wing it. So let me quickly explain. For you guys who don't know much about programming, there are things called if statements and switch cases. If statements are basically like true or false. So inside the 2 brackets here, you can add a statement of some sort. So for example, we have one that says is zombie day. So that actually links back to another plugin, which is my special days thing, and it checks that plugin and says, hey, let's check and see if it's a zombie day today, and then it will return a value of true or false. And if it's false, then it's great, then they'll continue down in the code. So it basically cascades down. But if it's true, then it won't continue on from this point on. It'll pass all this stuff and go down to here. And then the switch case, so inside these brackets here in the switch, you see it's got a function called get client team, and it's getting the particular person who's killed an individual. And then based on that result, it will go to the different cases. So case 2 means that the player is on, I think it's T, I think it is, guard killed. Yeah, so you can see that that's actually T, and then this one's CT. So the value number 2 means that the person's on T, value number 3 means they're on CT. So if they're on T and they killed someone and they're valid, then let's just check if they're a rebel or not. If the person isn't a rebel, obviously don't bother continuing. And then for everyone who's in the server, let's let them know that this particular rebel person killed guard so-and-so. So that's how that works. And then as we go down, you can see this is for CTs. If the person's a rebel, if the person's isn't in the last request and is the person a rebel, that is the victim. We want to check if they had a weapon or not. And if they had a weapon, let's let them know that they're armed. And then we also want to print to console as well. You see these print to chat here in the print to console. As it says, one means print, so prints in the chat in game, and one means it prints in console. Pretty straightforward. And this here is what we call a for loop. A for loop, basically, you can define how many times it loops. So in this case, we're looping through all the clients in the server. So we've defined what we call a local variable here of I, which stands for an integer of 1, and then it loops through cycles. So for example, let's say it was me, Meridian, and Nighthawk on the server. It would first go to the first client, and then it would print the message to console, then it would go to the next client and the next client and so on. So depending on how many people are on the server. Okay, so basically, then it will print that message. And what we see here is there's actually these two. I've just forgotten what the name is for that. There's a particular name you call these. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head. Nah, I can't remember. Sorry, guys. I just can't remember what you call these again. But either way, basically, this is just signposting in a way that you want a particular variable to be displayed here. So in this case, we want the attacker's name to be displayed here, and we want the victim's name to be displayed here. So in order to do that, you need to put in the necessary thing basically in order for that to happen. I can't remember off the top of my head what it's actually called, but N actually means name. I'm pretty sure let's just go back here. S is a string. Oops. S is a string, and I is an integer, and D is data. If you don't know what the what it is, then you can do D, and then I think that's like if you have a float, for example, and you need to print a float number, you can do that with D. So yeah, that's that. And again, it's all pretty much the same as you go down. And what's inside the event player death is what we call code logic. So you'll often find, and me personally, what I struggle with a lot is developing code logic. Like you'll find that once you know all the syntax, once you know how it all works, it's the only complications you'll ever face really is just knowing how to do something. For example, this code that you're looking at right now is really simple. Like it's extremely simple, but if you can understand how the game works and what's the logic behind it, then it'll be easy for you. But if you can't understand the logic, and then it gets a bit hard. So yeah, that's pretty much that. Do you guys have any questions about the code that I'm just showing you now, or any queries about how it's the syntax or anything like that? There isn't a TS channel for this. You can just use chat. I was gonna try and use TS, but I think that's not gonna work with the stream because it uses up my internet, and I haven't got the best internet connection. But yeah, let us know in chat if you have any questions. Okay, so the I++, now that basically means you want to increment it by 1. So in this for loop, for example, what you want to do is as I said before, we're looping through all the clients. So when we say we're starting with myself, I had that example where it was me, Meridian and Nighthawk. So basically once we've printed this message here to myself, we want to tell the for loop that, okay, we're back at the start, so let's actually increment the value by 1 and let's move on to Meridian, for example. So that's what the I++ means. Similarly, you can actually do I minus minus, and that will decrement the value. Oh, okay, code logic is different. Oh yeah, I can understand. Again, like for me, I was always quite fascinated by programming and being able to do that. And because I'm actually studying a degree in IT and business, I did Python, Java, SQL, and a lot of introductory coding languages. But I found that I just got sick of it, to be honest. And the only reason I'm really still developing plugins for Banhammer is because it's the only opportunity I really get to play around with, I guess, code. Because now in my degree I'm focusing on a more business point of view. I can't actually restart, Mike, I'm sorry, but you should be able to go back in the stream and watch the start. Again, if you'd like, you should be able to scroll back on YouTube for that. So yeah, guys, that's pretty much the code there in a whole. I'm just trying to think if I've missed anything. No, okay, so yeah, as I was saying before, switch case it goes to a different level of the code depending on the result that this function inside the brackets returns, pretty much. And then at the bottom here, you can see here that we're again assigning that global variable for that particular person to -1. So basically, in simpler terms, remember how we had that list of different people with their weapons. So what we're going to do is we're going to reset that weapon so they know they have no weapon. So -1 basically means they have no weapon on them. But then when the weapon drop event fires again, it will assign the weapon value based on that. Now, how we actually use what we call an array is down here. You'll see here where it actually uses it here. So in this if statement here, we're actually checking, does that person who died have a weapon? So if the value is greater than 0, we'll proceed with printing this message. So guard N killed rebel, so say guard Ab killed rebel Meridian, and that person was armed. So the person, we only know that person is armed if they actually had a weapon when they died, and that's actually checked by this function up here in the weapon drop, because we knew that they had no health and they had a weapon when they died because they dropped it. So that's how we actually check if they have a weapon or not, and if they're armed or unarmed. And you can see here where we have the if statement. So if the person has a weapon, then we print these messages, and then we have an else statement here, which means, so if that statement here is true, then we print this, but if it's false, then we do this. So does that make sense? If so, just give me an okay in chat, because I'm not too sure if you guys are following or not. Awesome, that's good. Alrighty. How many people? Oh, we got 4 people watching. That's really funny. I will do my best to make sure I can say, oh, that's money, right? Anthony's money. That's right. Just remember that. Just occurred to me now. I'm pretty sure it should save. I think it automatically does that. Now, sorry, this tutorial has been a little bit all over the place, but I hope that gives you a bit of a sneak peek at how it works. So that's a private plugin of Banhammers that you got a little sneak peek out there. I'm sure you guys can use it if you want to, but I don't think it'll have much use for you guys anyway. Now I was going to show you another editor just quickly. Just bear with me 1 sec. Just gotta see if I've still got it on this computer. Alright, it should be opening up pretty soon. I'll also actually open up this. Sorry, I'll just close this for a second. Just bear with me for 1 second, guys. I'm just going to open up the Wikipedia, the wiki, sorry, which is the help documents that you would be needing to basically start writing your own code. So I'll probably first just quickly go over this wiki, and then I'll show you that the other source pawn editor that I think might be good for some of the new guys who are wanting to get into coding. Sublime and Notepad++ is actually a little bit more difficult to use, especially if you don't have much knowledge of programming. Whereas with SP Edit, which I'll be showing you shortly, you will find that you'll be assisted a little bit more with your coding. So if you do forget, for example, a particular syntax, then you'll be able to it'll give you hints basically of what you should be, recommended hints of what you should be using. So just give me 1 second. I'm just gonna start a new screen capture. No, hold on, that's not what I wanted. Sorry guys, I'm just getting used to this live streaming software, so just bear with me for 1 sec. Okay, here we go, got it working. Awesome. Alrighty, let me know if you guys can see that okay. Okay, so yeah, I'll just get started. So basically, this is what I was mentioning before. I really should have actually showed you this at the start, but again, this has been completely unscripted, so you get the raw style of a tutorial. So yeah, this is the Allied Mods wiki. Now this is, I must say that this is probably the most useful thing that you'll ever use to create plugins. It's basically got step-by-step information on how to basically write your own plugin. I think there actually is some tutorials on YouTube that can actually help you as well with starting your first plugin, and I'm pretty sure the guy who actually did the tutorial was actually pretty good at explaining some of the programming behind SourcePawn. So definitely have a look at that. I might chuck those in the links as well on the event page for you guys to watch. Although the syntax, remember, bear in mind that the syntax is outdated, and I'll put some warnings in there about that, so you will need to learn the new syntax. Now, these wikis actually have already been updated for the new syntax, so you might find it a little bit hard for people who may have been using the old syntax to adjust, like myself. I know for JJ, for one, he's been struggling a little bit with the new syntax because it's a bit of an adjustment from him. But for people who already know C, it's basically been changed to look more like C. So as you can see here, this page that I've got opened up now, it's basically an introduction to what source mod is. And it's, as you can say, it's really quite dynamic in what you can do, and it explains to you, what SourcePawn is, where it originated, all that kind of stuff. Where are we? Main page. Oh, sorry, wrong one. Documentation. So that's actually one thing I actually wanted to mention too that I didn't mention earlier is that you can actually learn how to set up your own server through these documentation as well. So if you ever want to install or set up your own server, you can look at this documentation. That'll actually give you a bit of an idea, how to add admins to your server, how to make your own 1v1 server if you want to make a 1v1 server. So that's pretty cool. But we're going to be focusing on the scripting section of this particular wiki. So let's go into there, and I'll quickly just show you what it all is. So basically, you can follow down. Obviously, it goes in like a chronological order. So you go down the list and just look at the different tutorials. And obviously, there's an introduction to source mod plugins, introduction to SourcePawn, introduction to SourcePawn 1.7, and then I think, yep. So basically, this list here has everything you'll need. What I'll do is I'll put this link in chat for you guys, so you guys can have a look. Oops. Hold on. This works properly for me. There we go. Okay, yeah. So that's the SourcePawn wiki. Sorry. And if you guys have any questions about the wiki and how to use and how to get information about the wiki, feel free to shoot me a message on the forums. I'll be happy to guide you in the right way. A quick example of what the wikis look like, I'll just open up here. So introduction to source mod plugins. So yep, you can pretty much see here. Again, this is literally a step-by-step thing that will really help you guys. If you spend the time to read it, you will find a lot easier to start writing your own plugins. So again, it talks about the includes, which we talked about today. It talks about structuring your plugin, so setting it up, having the plugin name, plugin description, plugin author, etc. Plugin my info, like we spoke about earlier. This is where you put in and you define, for example, you register your commands, you register your admin commands, you register plugin CVARs. Now, plugin CVARs, you'll find that in here as well. CVAR is basically the plugin settings. So, for example, let's say in this particular plugin in here that I was showing you earlier, which is the jailbreak. Oh, can you guys see this? You can. Awesome. So yeah, the jailbreak plugin that I was showing you earlier. This particular plugin doesn't have any CVARs, but CKSurf does. So if we go down. Sorry, just give me one tick. Where are we? Oh my god. On library added, on plugin and I'll just do a quick search. Reg. Okay, here we go. Yep. So as you can see here, this is a really big plugin, the SkillSurf one, so there's a lot of code. So as you can see on plugin start here, that's the function that we were talking about, and it's got the different convars, which are basically settings. So you can see here there's CK_connect message, enables a player connect message every time the person connects. Sorry, I hope I just zoomed that in so you guys can see that a bit more clearly. Yeah, so it enables a player connect message when you connect. So again, this tutorial was just meant to be touching on a little bit of an introduction to Sourcepawn. If there are any questions that you have, I'll be taking them at the end, and I'll be going into more depth than another tutorial about the intricacies of coding, and maybe I might even chuck up a few demonstrator Sourcepawn scripts that you can play around with and stuff like that, and we'll try and make these things a little bit more structured next time, because obviously this hasn't been too structured. So yeah, this is another link here. I'll just chuck this in chat if you guys want to have a look on your side. That's just a little, a bit of information about that. I think that pretty much covers everything. The last thing I wanted to talk to you guys about, show you guys and talk to you guys about is SP Edit. Just give me 1 second. I'm just going to start up a new screen capture. Sorry, just bear with me for 1 second. I'm almost there. I wanted to display. Oh god. Alright, there we go. That's what I wanted to show you guys. Okay, let me know in chat if you guys can hear that, by the way. Sorry, you see that? Okay, cool. So this is SP Edit. Basically, this thing is another text editor that you can use for Sourcepawn, but it's dedicated just for Sourcepawn, hence the name SP Edit. There are different functions inside here, like you can configure to compile your plugins with the different types of source mod. There's also tools in here where you can actually decompile plugins as well if you want to. We don't really have time to do that today, but maybe another tutorial I can show you how to do that. The build function is really good. You can actually compile all your plugins through here. And I will maybe, if we can, I'll probably do like another tutorial on how to compile plugins, just because it's a little bit of a pain to set it all up. But you can actually drag and drop. I'll put up some screenshots. I think that's probably the best way to do it, of how to compile your plugins, just because it'll take a little bit too much time for me to go through all of how to compile. But basically, it's fairly straightforward, and I'll just chuck up some information about that. Again, the syntax highlighting in this editor is really good. It highlights all the different variable names and different functions in different colors. It's really good. I don't know if you can customize the coloration. Again, I don't use this editor. I just had it because I saw it online, and from when I tried playing around with it, it was actually really useful for editing new source code in the new syntax, because it actually gives you hints and stuff about what you need to do in terms of defining variables for creating new functions. So for example, let's say if you wanted to create an integer, so int, and it comes up with a highlighting, so yep, that's fine, and then say we call it q4, and then, or let's say you wanted to have a string, so the string is what we call a char, and we want to call it steam ID, and then you can put in the steam ID underscore q4, for example. Let's what we put in the steam ID. So you can actually define the length of that. So let's say it's 1 and 140. It's a bit long for a steam ID. Let's just say it's 14, and then you'd put in the necessary steam ID there, for example, and then you'd end it with a semicolon. So that's just an example. Again, there's new syntax for that kind of stuff. So if you are going to be making plugins, or you do want to make plugins for any community or Banhammer, we're always welcome to help you with making new code. You will need to use the new syntax. We don't really recommend using the old syntax, as that is already getting outdated, and we're in the process of updating our own code to make sure that it's using the new syntax. But probably next time I will be going over how to use the new syntax in more depth. So that's pretty much the SP Edit. I'll chuck in a link in the forum page for this event, to a link to download this particular one. It's definitely really good because it really gives you heaps of hints. Like for example, if we wanted to use a function, an inbuilt function in source mod, like get client team, so it already comes up with those hints you can see there. And then if you put the opening bracket, it'll actually tell you this is a native get client team. What it does, it retrieves a client's team index, and you can actually tells you the parameter client return. It returns the team index, what errors, invalid client index, not in game, or no mod support. So again, I think I might say this is probably the best thing for you guys to use if you're a newbie and you don't really know what you're doing, because this will really help you guys with that. Create a plugin. I'll probably do that in the next tutorial, dude. I don't unfortunately have enough time today, but again, that pretty much wraps everything up for this tutorial. Does anyone have any questions or anything about today's tutorial, or anything that we covered? Any questions about developing on Banhammer, the servers, what we do on our servers? More than happy to answer any questions. Do you know me? No, I don't know who you are. That's alright, Money. Thanks for helping organise it. Win, you had a question about how exactly do we code stuff for BH? Like, is there a list of things that you guys want to do? We do actually use the forums. We obviously communicate through that, but we also use a thing called Trello. I'm not too sure if Q4 is still in this stream, but he actually set that up, and that we're actually able to view different cards. I can probably show you that in another tutorial, exactly how we use Trello. But essentially Trello is just basically a big board where you can have different cards for different things. And for example, like we might have a different card for the different servers, so Jailbreak, and then under Jailbreak we'll have the different plugins. For example, like let's say we had the JB add-ons one that I showed you today. The JJ might put in say like, oh, this plugin's not working properly, can you look into it? And then I'll see, okay, so I need to look after this today, or I need to do this. But again, because myself and JJ are the main developers for Banhammer, we usually know what needs to be done. Like, we're usually on the same page, so we basically work together to make sure that things are done on time. Obviously, certain servers take certain priority over other servers, so because Jailbreak is one of our main servers, if there was an issue affecting Jailbreak, obviously that takes top priority over, say, Scout's Knives. So we do tend to prioritize things based on importance and how big the server is. Hopefully that answers your question. Oh, thanks, Win. Thank you for the compliment. Again, I don't know how good that was because it was my first time at doing a tutorial, but I'm sure I'll go over this and have a look and see what we can do to improve these and hopefully give you some more direct advice. Can I be a designer for BHPM? I'll send you some. Yeah, sure, mate. You can shoot me through a message on the forums, and I'm sure we'll have a look at some of your work. We already do have a designer that does the logo, for example, and some other designs, but I'm sure we can have a look. Look at your work. So if anyone doesn't have any other questions, I'm probably just gonna end it at that. Thanks again for tuning in. This stream, for those people who are watching it at home or on their phone or on their computer, thanks for watching. And if you do have any suggestions for the next tutorial, please drop it in the event page, and I'm sure we'll look at that and try and give you guys a bit more of a focused tutorial in our next one. Thanks again, guys, and have a great night.